Moonlight whispers, shadows of the lunar colony. Under the pale glow of the lunar landscape, the colony sprawled like a collection of silver veins against the stark blackness of the moon's surface. Far from the blue-tinted horizons of Earth, this settlement of pioneers had carved out an existence among craters and dust, their lives sustained by the marvels of science encased in minimalistic architecture. Each structure stood streamlined and efficient, a testament to human innovation designed to defy the harsh lunar environment. Inside this technological haven, the inhabitants of the lunar colony gathered every full moon, their faces illuminated by the soft white light that bathed the regolith. They were united by a tradition as haunting as it was beautiful, the celestial communication ritual. This ceremony, a mystical blend of ancient frequencies and modern technology, allowed them to connect with the spirits of those long past on Earth, voices that whispered through the cosmos and into their hearts. New among them was Elena Mirov, her arrival marked by both necessity and despair. The sudden death of her sister on Earth had left her grappling with a torrent of grief, a pain she carried with her across the stars. Determined yet delicate, Elena stepped onto the lunar soil with a mix of apprehension and curiosity. The colony was not just a fresh start, but a place brimming with secrets and traditions, ones that beckoned even as they bewildered. As Elena delved deeper into the peculiar customs of her new home, her engineer's mind, trained to question and untangle, began to sense the undercurrents in the celestial messages. What were they really communicating? Why did the air thrum with more than just nostalgia during these rituals? Unbeknownst to her, Elena's quest for understanding would soon lead her to a discovery as unsettling as it was transformative, challenging everything the colony stood for. The labyrinth of cold, metallic corridors seemed to close in on Elena as she walked alongside Sylvia one evening after another fruitless session of data analysis. They had been meticulously reviewing logs, cross-referencing timestamps, and trying to decode the anomalies Elena had detected. The deeper they delved, the more they felt the eyes of the colony upon them, silent, judging, waiting. In a particularly tense meeting, Marcus had curtly inquired about Elena's extracurricular activities, his voice dripping with a condescended kindness that didn't quite reach his eyes. "We are all here for the same purpose, Elena. Let's not distract ourselves with needless worries," he had said, fixing her with a stare that seemed to pierce right through her defenses. Sylvia, ever the protector, had tightened her jaw at that, her stance subtly shifting into one of defense. It was clear then that their quest for truth was not going to be welcomed. One night, after most of the colony had drifted to their quarters, Elena and Sylvia sat huddled over a terminal in a secluded part of the communications center. The soft hum of the machinery was a constant backdrop to their whispered discussions. They had just accessed a set of archived messages that were heavily encrypted, unusually so for routine communications. As Elena's fingers danced over the keyboard, decrypting lines of code, Sylvia kept watch. The tension was palpable, each passing minute stretching longer than the last. Suddenly, the screen flickered, displaying a series of messages that had been flagged and isolated from the standard transmission logs. The contents were disturbing, manipulated phrases, altered tones, entire sentences that seemed crafted to subtly influence the colony's perception of Earth and the governance there. "Look at this, Sylvia," Elena murmured, her voice a mix of triumph and fear. These aren't glitches. Someone's been altering the communications deliberately. Sylvia leaned in closer, her eyes scanning the evidence with a practiced gaze. We need to show this to someone. Layla, maybe? She's got the historical knowledge to understand the implications of this. They decided then, with the weight of their discovery pressing down on them, to reach out to Layla Anwar, the linguist. Layla, with her deep understanding of Earth's cultures and her passion for the authenticity of the rituals, would surely see the gravity of their findings. Planning to meet with her the next day, they erased their digital footprints from the terminal and left the communications center with a cautious promise of hope stirring between them. But as they exited into the dimly lit corridor, the sudden, eerie silence felt ominous. From the shadows, a figure stepped out, Dr. Ivan Petrenko, his spectacles reflecting the sparse light, his expression unreadable. "Working late, ladies?" he asked, his voice smooth yet carrying an undercurrent of something darker. Elena felt a chill run down her spine, but Sylvia responded with a calm she barely felt. "Just keeping up with the routine, Dr. Petrenko." As they walked away, Elena's mind raced with the implications of their discovery and the undeniable reality that their actions were being monitored more closely than they had feared. The path ahead was fraught with danger, yet the need to expose the truth had never been more critical. Under the ghostly glow of the lunar surface, the colony's network hub was a hive of silent tension. Elena Mirov's hands moved deftly over the console, her eyes scanning the lines of code that streamed across the screen. Beside her, Sylvia Harrow kept watch, her posture rigid, every sense attuned to any sign of movement in the sterile corridor outside. The air was thick with the hum of machinery and the weight of impending confrontation. In the corner of the room, Layla Anwar's gaze was fixed on a pile of ancient texts and digital tablets, her brow furrowed in concentration. The texts were a jigsaw of languages and symbols, keys to understanding the true essence of the celestial communications. "Here," Layla's voice cut through the silence, urgent yet hushed. "Look at this comparison. The original text talks about peace and the natural order of life. But what's being broadcasted? It's a call to compliance, twisted into the commandments of the colony." Elena's heart quickened as she integrated Layla's findings into her own data. The evidence was irrefutable. Dr. Ivan Petrenko, backed by Marcus Lung, had engineered a deceit so profound it had seeped into the spiritual core of the colony. The spectral messages, believed to be sacred communications from Earth's past spirits, were nothing more than manipulated echoes designed to reinforce Petrenko's control over the colony. Sylvia stepped closer, her voice low. "We need to expose them, Elena. Before the next ritual. If people hear the truth from the spirits themselves, not these doctored echoes." Elena nodded, her mind racing with the implications. They had to act swiftly. The full moon was approaching, the time when the entire colony would gather, their consciousness open and trusting, to receive wisdom from their ancestors. It was the perfect moment to reveal the truth, to break the cycle of manipulation. With a final decisive keystroke, Elena prepared to upload the untampered spectral messages into the colony's mainframe. The next ritual would broadcast the unaltered voices. It would ignite the spark of truth. As she pressed enter, the room seemed to pulse with the promise of change. Outside, the stark shadows cast by the lunar dawn began to seem less oppressive, heralding the dawn of a new understanding. Elena paced the length of her stark, minimalist quarters, the light from Earth casting eerie, elongated shadows across the cold metallic floor. Her mind was a whirlwind of doubt and resolve, tangled up with the haunting image of her sister's smile, a reminder of the personal stakes intertwined with her decision. The full moon was approaching, an event that no longer signified just the beauty and tradition of the lunar colony, but a battleground for her conscience. Outside, the lunar surface lay tranquil and indifferent, a sharp contrast to the storm brewing within her. Each step she took echoed in the hollow silence of her room, mirroring the repetitive arguments playing in her mind. To disrupt the order built by the colony leaders, to expose the spectral manipulation, could she carry the weight of the ensuing chaos? Would the truth justify the potential rupture in the community? After hours of solitude, the decision crystallized in her heart, as clear and inevitable as the moonrise. She couldn't let the purity of the celestial communication be tarnished. Not when it meant so much to so many, her sister included, in spirit if not in form. The integrity of the ritual, the connection it provided to Earth's lost souls, was a sacred trust that she could not allow to be corrupted. With a resolve steeled by memories and moral conviction, Elena left her quarters. Her steps were no longer uncertain but purposeful, directed towards the communal hall where the colony would gather under the full moon's light. Tonight, she would not just participate in the ritual, she would defend its essence for her sister and for every soul seeking solace in the whispers of the moonlight. In the pale blue glow of the moon's surface, Elena stood before the assembled colonists, her voice resonant against the stark, cold architecture of their home away from home. Sylvia's firm stance beside her and Layla's supportive nod gave her the courage to reveal the truths they had unearthed. As the evidence unfolded, the air thickened. Marcus's face, once calm and assuring, flickered through shades of betrayal and conflict, while Dr. Ivan Petrenko's eyes, normally so commanding, darted around seeking an escape that wasn't there. The community's reaction was a tempest. Voices rose and fell like the tides of Earth's oceans, echoing off the lunar domes. The full moon overhead, once a symbol of eerie calm, now cast a sharper, scrutinizing light on the gathering. In the days that followed, as the colony worked to untangle the threads of deceit, a new fabric of society began to weave itself. Meetings were held, not in the sterile confines of the council chambers, but out on the lunar fields under Earth's watchful gaze, where honest dialogue could flourish. Marcus, grappling with his own conscience, stepped down, facilitating a smoother transition than many had dared hope. Elena, once an outsider driven by grief and suspicion, found her own solace. The rituals, now restored to their authentic essence, offered her a connection to her sister's memory, not as a haunting specter, but as a loving whisper carried on the lunar wind. As the colony moved forward, the residents learned to balance the weight of their scientific endeavors with the whispers of their ancestors. They were reminded that in the pursuit of progress, The integrity of one's traditions should not be left as footprints in the lunar dust, soon to be obscured by the march of technology. They understood, perhaps more clearly than ever, that the strength of a community lies in its ability to confront its darkest secrets, bringing them into the light to heal. Elena's story, set against the desolate beauty of the moon, leaves us wondering, what other secrets might lie hidden within the shadows of our own lives? How would we face the truth when illuminated by the stark light of reality? And perhaps in the silence between the stars, we find a piece of advice whispering to us that the truth, no matter how deeply buried, will always seek the light. As we strive for the stars, let us not forget the foundations from which we ascend.